Welcome, fellow Wasteland survivors. I'm Dean, and it is still bad weather here. We are at Spectacle Island still. This is part 3 of our basic introduction to the logic gates. I slept. I thought it would be better today. We've had a couple of beautiful days filming or making these videos, but I'm thinking we're still going to have a lot of problems with our weather today. So I hope not. It is kind of beautiful, the fog with the sun coming up. I've gotten quite a few nice shots throughout all of my settlements when the weather is like this. So it is beautiful, but it kind of makes it hard for what we're doing. All right, well, let's get it going from where we were at in the second part of our video, or the last video. We're not going to need any of these objects, so let's get them out of here. I guess I could have took a second before we started and cleaned this all up, but I didn't. So we'll just set all this stuff off to the side. Let's disconnect our wires. We'll leave that connected up. We're going to, well, actually we'll unconnect that, but okay, put our delayed off switch away, take our carpets, move them over here out of the way, and yeah, let's disconnect our logic gate. Okay, now today's video we are actually going to be hiding the logic gate inside of the wall or door. It's of your choice. This will work with any wall or door that you want to do this with. Now this tip will also work with the barn and vanilla walls, but because they are much thinner, still you're going to have a lot of the logic gate sticking out. But just keep this in mind, this will still work for that tip too. Now what we're getting ready to do is a little bit complicated, so I'm hoping that you have watched the second part of our basic introduction to logic gates, because at the end of that there is a small clip explaining how or what we're getting ready to do here. Alright, let's get started. Enough chit chat. First thing we're going to want to do is put a wall up on top of our door, or the wall that you're going to insert the logic gate into. Put one on the back, so that way you're one wall thickness away from the wall. Now we can take this one off. Let's move our door out of the way. Let's put our logic gate here. We're going to need it. Let's move this wall out of the way too. Now this particular setup that we're getting ready to see is going to require a different logic gate, but we're still going to use this logic gate to snap our other logic gate onto. Now by doing this, you'll need to notice how it kind of twists and turns and then pops up and so on. Well, you do want to get it close to the bottom as you can. The reason is the logic gate we're going to snap to the bottom of it, you don't want sticking up through the wall. It may hinder you putting a ceiling or a roof on there. But if you go too low, it starts twisting and turning, and then you see it even dropped down. If it drops down, it's not going to stick out of the wall far enough. So you want to make sure that you adjust this until it's completely flat and it is at its highest point. And what I mean by that is, see, like as we go down, it gets lower on the wall, or connected lower. See, like that's really connected to the wall. We're going to go up just a little bit till it pops up level, and that ought to be good enough. All right, now we can go ahead and put our wall back in, our door, excuse me, and our wall. And now we can kind of see what our setup needs to be for this to work. Now, the AND logic gate is not the logic gate we're going to have to use, or going to need to use, but I'm going to use it as an example because I don't want to show you guys what one we're going to use. We're going to figure out which one we're going to need. So to show you how this works, we're just going to use the AND logic gate. If we come in the back and fidget with this for a minute, it snaps right on to the bottom of the other logic gate. Also, from back here, we can see if we've got it in straight. And if you notice, it is, straight across there. If it wasn't and it was crooked, one side might stick out, or you would be able to see that anyways. So now that we've got our logic gate snapped on, we can look at it from the front, and because of the way we've done it, it's hidden, but we can also target or pull wires off of it, and we won't need to use the wire glitch to connect wires to it. Now, you may need to use a wire glitch to do this, because sometimes when you add one wire to these points or these connections and they're just barely sticking out, you might not be able to retarget it again for a second connection. So I'll tell you what, let's look at that real quick. We'll use this to do it. Let's say we've got one wire connected already, but we can't target it to connect the second input. Well, we'll use the wire glitch, and the one I commonly use, or I feel is the most easiest, I'll show you that one. What we'll do is we'll highlight our wire, and it's not highlighting. I want it to highlight to show this. Okay, come on. Oh, because we might be bumping that other wire. Okay, let's do this one. All right. Now, it doesn't really matter what wire you highlight. What matters is what object you put the cursor on. So I'm going to use this one as an example. We'll highlight the wire to this first switch, if I can get it to stay highlighted, but we'll target the switch in the background. Now I'll push Y to initiate the wire glitch, and you can hear the spark. Now, run to the back of the logic gate, and we can actually target it back here. Now, if you're doing this, make sure you target the correct side of the logic gate, or you'll connect it to the wrong side. Since it's opposite, because we're looking at it from the back, we know that the red is on the right side. Now we'll push Y to initiate the wire connect. Then we got to push B to cancel. Now, oh, it went to the door. Okay, well anyways, you get the idea. We wire glitched it to the door. It should have been connected to the logic gate. But once again, like I was saying, you would just do it from the back side. Because excuse me, I keep losing targeting on the object. There it is. See, now it would have connected. Sometimes when you're building, you'll lose that ability that when you target something, it's like glowing. See, like we'll target the wire, and then, yeah, see how it quit glowing? Now the wall, yeah, see the wall? Now the wall is still glowing. Okay, there's the wire. Okay, we're not moving, so it's, I don't know why it does that. I think sometimes it can't process the information quick enough, so it just loses that little green line, or whatever color you have your Pip-Boy set up for. All right, enough of that. Let's get the wire out of here. Okay, now that we have it in the wall, the AND logic gate, it's not the one we're going to use, we can actually go ahead and remove everything else from it. Even though the AND logic gate is snapped to the XOR, they will not come together when you highlight or bring one. Also, if we were to grab the wall, only the XOR would come because it is snapped to the wall. So, all right. We've got that explained. Let's get the AND logic gate out of there. Now, it's still foggy. I cannot believe this. Okay. Now, if you'll remember right, in the last video, I said I was super lazy. I mean, really, really lazy. I'm so super lazy, I've got a cape. So, by saying that, I think there's an easier way that we can open and close this door than having to switch any switches on or off. So to do this, this is what we're going to need. We're going to want to get into the electrical section, cruise over to manufacturing. In the manufacturing area, go to the conveyor belt section. All the way at the very end, we've got a couple of laser tripwires. Now the first one that says transmits power while toggled or triggered, that'll work for this, but you know, let's just say this. It'll work for this, but don't use it. Okay, that'll cover it. Good. The one we're going to want to use says toggles power on and off when triggered. So let's get a couple of these out. We're going to place them in front of the door here and line them up. Now, I like to keep mine back away from the door a little ways. That way when you trigger it, you're not slamming into the door before it opens. But, you know, it's up to you. You could put it really close or real far away. Like I said, up to you how you want to do that. Now we'll go to the back side and we'll do the same thing. We could spin these around where the wire connections are both on the same side, but for what we're getting ready to do, it's not going to make any difference at all. So we're just going to do it this way. Alright, now that we've got our switches up, we need to decide what logic gate is going to work for us. So the reason I'm doing this is because this is really the mindset behind trying to decide what logic gates would fit your electrical needs or what you're building electrical. So this is what we want to do. We want to open and close the door by triggering these laser tripwires on and off. So what's the first thing that's going to happen? Well, the laser tripwires are going to be on because they've got power. So the very first thing that we need a logic gate to do is when both inputs have power, it's not transmitting power because we want our door to be closed. So let's take a look at the logic gates. We'll start with the AND. Transmits power if all inputs have power. Okay, our two switches are our inputs. They're going to start off with both having power. So right off the bat, we can see that the NAND logic gate is not going to work for what we want. Okay, cool. Let's go to the NAND logic gate. Transmits power unless all inputs have power. Okay. Transmits power unless all inputs have power. Well, our two switches are our inputs and they have power. So they're both on. Transmits power unless both inputs have power. So that means it wouldn't be transmitting power to our door and it would be closed. Okay, so the NOR logic gate fits the first part of our need that we're looking for. But what about the second part? The second part would be when we turn off this one by triggering it, this laser tripwire, the logic gate needs to transmit power so that the door opens. Alright, well, let's look at this NAND logic gate again. Transmits power unless all inputs have power. So since both of our switches are transmitting power and the door's closed, as soon as we turn one off, it'll transmit power and the door will open. Cool. Okay, so the NAND logic gate will fit the second part of our electrical need. Now, we've come through the door. We've got to trip this laser tripwire off. What logic gate is going to do that? Well, let's look at this for a second. Now, this tripwire is off because we've just tripped it. This tripwire is off because we first tripped it when we walked through. So both tripwires are now off. Well, in that case, every logic gate would fit that part of what we need. So, since the NAND logic gate fit our first two, I don't even know how to say that, since it fit the first two parts of our three needs, we'll use it, because every logic gate will turn off or quit transmitting power when you turn the power off. So, we just discovered that the NAND logic gate will work for us. Let's go to the back and let's get it connected up. Alright, cool. Now, once again, if they're not sticking out far enough, you may need to readjust your snapping logic gate on the wall better. Or just go ahead and do the wire glitch. Entirely up to you. But now that we have everything together, once again, we can take it off individually, or we can take it all apart together. And then we can just go ahead and put these items back in our workbench. Alright, well, there we go. We now have our logic gate inserted into the door. And once again, you could do this in the wall, the barn walls, and the vanilla walls. Just on those ones, the walls aren't as thick, so, quite a bit of the logic gate would still be sticking out. Alright, well, the next thing that we need to do is power this puppy. And that brings me to a very, very sweet tip that I'm going to get to show you guys right here. Now, let me kind of set the stage for this real quick. A couple of months ago, a friend left a comment asking how I ran the wires through the walls in Tanner's Toy Factory. Did I wire glitch them, or was I able to actually do that? Well, I'm sorry, sir, I didn't get to answer I answered you back. It was brief. I planned on making a video showing the several ways that I can do this, or that we can do this. I haven't had the time to do it because of all this other content. I do apologize, but this is a great time to be able to show you guys one, or actually two, of the basic ways that we can actually run wiring through these walls, through these doors, and do it by snapping. Okay, let's get going. First thing we're going to need is some electrical conduits to connect wires to, and this is not where you're going to find that, Bones. Pardon me, please. Okay, get us some electrical conduits. Now, the first thing we're going to want to do is connect our laser trip wires up to power. So, we'll put one of these on our wall, and if you notice, there's an actual pretty generous distance from one side to the other. What I like to do is work on one side. That allows room to run more conduits if I want to, and in this build we're going to. So now we can put it close to the floor if we want. Now, it does not make a difference for the snapping part, but it might give you problems connecting the wires together because the wire might hit the floor. So you don't have to get it like really close to the floor. Next, let's just go ahead and hook it right to power. Now we have power coming into our first laser tripwire. And yeah, we can barely see it. It's on right there, but the green light is on, letting us know that it's transmitting power. Alright, now we need to get power over to this switch. So what we'll do is we'll add more conduits on. We'll put one at the top. Once again, you could put this all the way up there as far as you wanted to. You just don't want to go too far. It may stick out. And, we just don't like things that stick out. So, yeah, not too far up. We'll put one on this side, one on the bottom. And, of course, I'm staying to the same side of this wall as I am this wall. You can see the little edges along this side of the wall. And then the outside is these conduits. Okay, what we're doing is we're going to run power around the door. So we'll connect power up there, we'll connect power there, down to this one, and now we have gone up and over the door and back down to the floor. Now, this is the first part of the two parts of this little tip that we're getting ready to see. Because these wires are snapped, or I should say electrical conduits, power conduits are snapped to the wall, and our wires are connected to them, we can actually move it anywhere we want to as long as the wall stays green. And you can see the wire is going through the wall. No wire glitch or anything. Now you can do this up to 4 floors away. After that, the wire is going to break. And the only way to get the wire longer than that is to use the wire glitch. Okay, so that's the first little basic tip to move wires through objects. Now let's go ahead and hook our switch up, and it now has power. We can see the green lights on and vaguely make out the tripwire. Now we can go ahead and move our wall back over here. And I notice that this wire is not connected. It's connected but not showing that it's connected. Broken Bones is the name of the character that we're on. It's my very first very first character I created in Fallout 4. My game had tons of glitches, building and game glitches. So I never finished the game with this character, and she only builds because, that's really all this playthrough is good for now. I still have a lot of building glitch issues, and as we can see, that's one of them right there. Now this may happen to you guys too. I don't know. All I know is the wire is connected, even though it doesn't look connected because we can see our switches on. Okay, enough of that. We got to actually move our wall back because we're not finished over here. Now that we've got power to our laser tripwire, we need to run the output signal from the laser tripwire to the logic gate. So we'll just put up a couple of more of these electrical conduits, connect it to the switch, put one more on up here. You can see now by offsetting these conduits how the wires are not, overlapping each other, running through one another. A wire is not passing through another wire. Seems to me that, that's really kind of where you start getting your wiring problems. It's like when one wire passes through another wire, or a connection point of an electrical hookup, it some reason like starts to get signals from that or something. I don't know. Alright, now we've got to get our output signal from this laser tripwire over to our logic gate. So we will put one there, and we will put another one up here. Once again, I'm just keeping them on the side so that way the wires and the stuff are not colliding. And we'll hook up our laser tripwire. Okay, now our output ends right there for this laser tripwire. Our output ends right here for this laser tripwire over here. Now we could run another wire and another conduit over to here, then connect both of these conduits up to our logic gate. But because of the way we've done this, this wire will not be seen. It won't drop down through the door. Excuse me. So we can actually target this one and connect it to our logic gate. And then we don't have to add in more extra conduits. But now don't forget, we got to hook this one up to our logic gate as well. That's our 2 inputs, one from each one of the switches. Okay, now real quick, the reason that I did this step by step is so that way it would be a lot easier to help us understand what we did here. If I would have said, hey guys and gals, look at our electrical hookup, and this is what I did. Power's in, over here, out, up, over there, this way. It makes it so much harder to understand. So that's why we did each one of them step by step, so it was easy to understand, even though it looks hard, complicated. Okay, now that we've got everything hooked up and our switches are both on, because I was tripping them on and off as I was moving around over there, Let's go ahead, go back into work mode, and snap our walls back on. And ladies and gentlemen, this is how easy it is. Snap. Snap. And now all of the wiring is hid inside of the door. We don't see anything out here. Of course, we do got a little bit right here that goes to our switches, but everything else is nice and tidy. And we do have a wire poking out from this side over here. So to keep that from poking out, we could just go ahead and add in another conduit right here. Then they both would be hidden better, and it would only just be the one wire. But we're not going to go through all of that right now. What I would like to do is explain a little bit more about why this works. Since the object that we have our wire connected to is snapped to an object, and I use the word object or objects because this works with a lot of things. When we move that object around that the power conduit is connected to, we can run it through anything, and I'm talking anything, through the ceilings, through the floors, through the roofs, walls, whatever. It doesn't matter if a wire is even coming out of the middle of the top of the wall, going up somewhere really high. You can still do this and it will still snap in. Now, let's look at this real quick. If we get another concrete wall out, that's not a wall bones, that's a floor, we could never ever snap this to that wall that has all those connections on it. For numerous reasons, we've got wires running out in every direction. So that's the biggest reason why. But the conduits themselves would even give us a problem and we wouldn't be able to snap. But because we understand build order, that allows us to do it. Just depends on which one you put in first or last to get it to work. So this is something that you guys have probably mistakenly done before, or I shouldn't say mistakenly, but just didn't notice or understand why it worked, and therefore might not have been able to have repeated it. And yeah, this is super sweet. Love this. But, okay, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to stay in work mode because there's a couple of more things that make this even more sweeter than the door opening, letting us go through, and then closing when we trip the wires. We didn't have to switch any switches on. We could just basically run right through that, and we're done. We're out of there. But the second thing that makes this even more sweeter is that we can do it from any side of the door. It doesn't matter which one you want to enter in from. It works. So let's say like you're in build mode like we are right now. You've targeted the floor. We've got water underneath of us. You've dropped out. You're down in the water. That's what I do. And you got to run all the way back in, but you've got your build closed off, and you can't get back in there. Now, yes, you can grab a wall, move it, let it go back, come in. But because of what we've done, we can enter into the door from any side. The door comes open and will close again. Plus, we did it while we were in build mode. So, everything about this is a win-win situation. Everything. Love this tip. Use it all the time. Use those delayed off switches. Yeah, because we now know how the logic gates work, what makes them work, we can take some of our other ideas that we have and put it all together to make something sweet. Okay, now, before we end the video, which it's starting to get a little bit lengthy, I'm sorry, let's just see a couple of quick possibilities of how we could hide some of these bottom wires. Now, realistically, ladies and gentlemen, this, can be done any way. I kind of sounded like a horse there. Any way that you would like to do it. The possibilities here are endless. We can use these little containers to hide the wires. I like it inserted in. Oh, I tripped the wire. Let's trip it so it goes off. I like it in the wall a little bit. So since our switch is back a little ways, we're going to see a little bit there. But, once again, we could just drop anything in there that we would like to cover that up, that, you would like. I do have one more tip that I'd like to show before we end the video today. And we'll do it while I scroll through the electrical. Now, this isn't the tip, but this is another good example or tip. This electrical conduit that's part of the door sticks out, and there is just nothing we can do about it. And quit tripping the door, Bones. Okay, but in the electrical section in the lights, almost every one, if not every one of these lights will actually go over top of it. So you can use these to hide that electrical conduit look. Plus it gives us a light to see when we're coming in at nighttime. Because I don't know about you guys, but it seems like I'm always playing at night. Now, we could connect up fields to this, but that's technical and we're not going to go into that. And then what I mean by fields is we could make our lights come on one way, then operate our door another way, and it wouldn't interfere with our light on the door. So it could stay on and off all the time. But here's a cool idea. Now we'll connect it to the door because it's the easiest, but it could be connected to the output of the NAND logic gate as well. But now let's say we're indoors, we're ready to come out, it's nighttime, trip the deal, the light comes on, shows us the path, make sure nobody's out here creeping on us. Nothing more surprising than coming out and seeing 5 super mutants all sporting miniguns. But yeah, that helps us out. We get to see what's going on. But if we do trip the laser wire out here, which makes the door close, then the light will go off. But still, a very cool example of using some lighting here at your door. Okay, now the tip that I'd like to show, let's get it over with, because this is now running too long. If you go to the sign decorations section, wall decorations, lettering, get you out some of these letters. Now, it doesn't matter if it's a full word or a single letter. This will still work, or number. But I think this is going to be our weapons room, so let's use weapons. We'll place that above our door so that way we know this is the weapons room. Now, jumping back into the electrical, any ceiling mounted light will now, it doesn't snap, it just turns green. So I can't really say snap because it doesn't, but it turns green. And because of it doing that, we can place ceiling mounted lights in there. Now also, it's not connected to the door. It's connected to the sign. So if you ever move or delete your sign, you will delete your light along with it. Okay, now let's check a couple of lights out and see how they look. And when I say any ceiling mounted light, I'm really talking any. I mean, imagine doing this on the sides over here and putting them on. Oh, wouldn't that be such a... Well, let's do it real quick. I mean, why imagine it? Let's do it real quick. Look at that. We've got a sweet little light that pops out from the side. And if you think it doesn't look realistic, just put an electrical conduit up there, one of the short ones. That would make it look like it's, attached to something sticking out there. I mean, wow. This little tip is so awesome. I'm sure some of you that have seen the electrical tips and tricks videos have seen me do this. But what I'm doing here is trying to show you on a much bigger scale just how well this works. Okay, let's get back into the lights. Let's see a couple of more of these. This one right here. Check this out. We got to work with it a little bit to get it to turn green, but it will turn green. Come on, baby. Come on. Yep, there it was. There it was. No, no, no. Come on, do it. We're running out of time. I don't want this to take all day. There we go. Okay. Now, check it out. Because our weapons is up a little higher, the connection points for the light are up in the wall or the door. So it looks like, it's really connected to the door. Plus, because of that, it is up out of the way that when we go through the door, we're not hitting our head on the light as we're going in and out. I love this little light right here. I really do. Now, the next bad boy I'd like to show is this one. I love this one. I love this one. Check that bad boy out. Is that sweet or what? And all because we can place it or connect it to the little sign up there. Okay, well, I think, ladies and gentlemen, we better let that be the end of this video. It has gone on an extra several minutes longer than I intended. But I think I hope we got a very good look at the basics of these logic gates, how they work, why they work, and what we can use some of them for. Now, there are going to be a couple of more videos on these logic gates come out. They're going to be more advanced, but they're also going to be part, or some of them I should say, will be part of another mega build I'm getting ready to start. I don't want to build up the suspense, but we'll be seeing those videos as we are building that new build. So I look forward to seeing you for those. Not trying to pun you for extra views. I mean, I really love it when I post a video in our community and a few minutes later it has all those views. It's awesome to see that. Thank you guys. But I am just trying to let you know that I have a lot of sweet content planned. I'm just having a hard time finding enough time to get it all out. So, expect to see a lot more stuff on our community as time goes by. All right, ladies and gentlemen, enough jibber jabber. We got to go. I appreciate you for stopping in, hanging out with me. Love you guys to death. Thank you so much. And just like always, until next time, please stay safe and peace.